This is Great FM. Great FM.
You know, the COVID-19 pandemic shifted our world in many ways. And while some things do return to normal, others have, I think it's safe to say, changed for good. The latter, in fact, can be said for most structures and processes in the workplace, an integral one being the way of working in itself. Hi, everyone. Ahalya here. And you're joining in on another podcast on Great FM, the official podcast series by Great HR, where we explore the world of HR and all that's happening there. Coming to today's conversation, while it may be safe for people to return to the office and work face-to-face, hundreds of organizations world over are declaring a hybrid model of work as the new normal. And when the world transitioned into work from home overnight, I will say it definitely took us a minute to find our feet. In fact, HR definitely had their work cut out for them. But a year in, work from home or a hybrid work model has proved to be a very valuable goal to pursue in the long term. And that is kind of what we are exploring today, along with the criticisms and drawbacks thrown at the working structure. We're also going to be looking at the opportunities that such a work model actually provides. And joining us on this podcast today is Megha Gupta, currently serving as the HR director of Fiserv. Megha has had up to 17 years of experience in HR across industries, quite the veteran here and quite the subject matter expert as well. She's also been recognized as HR leader by People Matters in 2016, as HR 40 Under 40 by Business World, and also most recently the Most Innovative Leader Award by the World HRD Congress. It's a pleasure to have you here, Megha. Thank you so much for joining us.
I would say pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And you know, in doing research for this podcast, Megha, I have to say the arguments or the conversation about this hybrid work model is probably the most controversial thing out there today. No one can seem to agree on whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, necessary or unnecessary. So I'd actually like to start today's conversation from there. Is the hybrid working model a solution? If people are posing it as a solution, is it a solution for organizations or employees? And as a lead off from that, like when provided as a solution, which group of people should it actually serve?
It's a great question, and I'll go back, to when pandemic really happened to all of us, as a world when it happened. Nobody predicted that, pandemic is going to happen. And I still remember going back into that era that, one day suddenly, all the offices were closed. We were expected to work from home. And we always thought after a month, things are going to be normal. Mm-hmm. But the reality is in the 2 years, the world has completely changed and the thought process has completely changed. And, after 2 years, it's no more about, I would say, organization thinking about, should we be remotely working? Should it be hybrid? Mm-hmm. But I think it's high time when we need to start thinking about what suits for our talent that we hire. Mm. Is talent okay to, completely work out of 5 days, or, is it okay to, have a very, very flexible approach towards it? And the third biggest thing that I always say, hybrid, non-hybrid, completely remote, is also with this pandemic, I think we all owe back to the country, to the world, to the society that we live in. Mm-hmm. And probably remote working, hybrid working is one of the solution of us to give back to our nature, whether it's, saving of electricity, saving of water, saving of carbon footprint, even saving people's time of commute that happens due to hybrid. I think organizations need to start taking that also into accountability when they're thinking about return to workplace or a future of the workplace strategy. So I would say not just corporates or people, but really to the whole and the society as well.
Nice. I really like that. And it's interesting that you bring up commute and also, the sustainability priority, because what better way to convince people that this is important than to say, hey, we're actually going to be able to help the environment if we do this. And, you touched upon this, the newness of this model is, I think, freaking people out, Megha. So the question then is it worth it when we have this comfortable way of working that we've been following for centuries now? Is it worth it to switch things up? What do you say to that?
Let me, again go back to a historical context. If we think about, the technology evolution or the industrial revolution, so-called, it's no more the era of, the internet of things, the couple of things, but we're literally in the middle of the fourth industrial revolution, where technology is come up at an accelerated speed that nobody would have imagined, which means, we are not in a world where things are going to be constant, something that we have seen from the past, but it's going to be evolution of every single thing. And probably workplace is the biggest disruption that has come up due to pandemic and the hybrid piece that has come up, because 2 years people have lived it. This is a very well possibility that people can do. So yes, of course, it is something that nobody has explored, but is it going to be a reality? In 2024, hybrid is going to be the new way of working. It's not going anywhere. In fact, they say that 73% of the companies will have to adopt hybrid if they don't want, talent to completely go away from, the new age of the talent that's going to come up. So yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, we don't know. I mean, if you ask me, do I know all the answers? Probably we are also exploring. I, as an HR, need to solve for a lot of things. But as I say, change is the only constant thing today.
And, you read my mind. I was just going to bring up a Forbes article when you spoke about it. It, cited that one of the biggest challenges of the hybrid model will be a lack of definition, because, I'm guessing with lesser visibility in the traditional sense, that, blurred lines sort of increase a little bit more. But do you think it's a viable argument against the structure of work?
See, everything that we do in the business today, right? There is always a thin line between the right and the wrong. Now, you can always argue to the fact that, why should you not go back to office? Because 2 years ago, it was working all fine. Yes, it was working all fine. There was no challenge in working 5-day or a 4-day kind of a model. Today, you would see multiple countries even exploring 4-day work week. And I remember when I started my career, I used to work 6 days of working. Today, even 5 days feel like a burnout to people. So, things today that we do, always are on a challenge that what's the right thing and the wrong thing. But the argument today to, make this happen is also a lot more around that you need people to come together to collaborate and innovate. I think that's what physical proximity nearly brings in, when you get two people together. I think it's a viable, argument, because it's a win-win for organization and the talent, that you think about from future. But having said that, organization, yes, needs to define what does it mean. They can't keep it completely open because, people like structure. The reality, people do like flexibility, but people also like some guidance, some flexibility around it. So of course, organization need to define that, whether it's related to the cultural aspect, how will it's going to work, whether it's related to who comes when, how do you help that, and of course the entire technology behind how does it enable you to function when you are in hybrid versus when you are in the office. And of course, what's the leadership mindset? Are you even ready to have that conversation? Because if leader is still going to say that, I need to have every meeting as a physical meeting, then probably the, concept is going to fail very fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're listening to Great FM.
I also want to shift focus onto opportunities now. I think we have explored quite a few challenges, but interestingly enough, I realized that there was a bit of a link between hybrid working as a model and being able to address the diversity, equity, and inclusion priority. It's interesting how that happens because it just automatically provides more flexibility, more inclusion for the kinds of people that can work at an organization. So could you elaborate on that a little bit? How will the two, converse with each other?
So, this is something that, touches my heart as a topic because, one of the reality in the World Economic Forum that talks about is one, the pandemic has not been very, very gender neutral. Women have been worstly affected by the pandemic because of the kind of jobs, a lot of semi-skilled jobs, have gone away, like your restaurant business, your, multiplexes, where the women were hired a lot more than men. And those were the jobs that were severely affected because of the pandemic. In fact, it's been said that, because of the pandemic, the gender equality pay from 95 years have gone back to 115 plus years, which is, huge. That means you've gone back 30 years from, what you would have made so much progress in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, I feel, genuinely, and I'll give you some real examples. Okay. Today, if you have night shift opportunities, till yesterday, if I was a hiring person, I would go back to my business. Hey, this business will probably have less amount of diversity percentage because night shift would obviously not be preferred by a lot of women because of safety challenges in India, because of multiple aspects, family issues, societal issues that you may have within the country. Today, imagine if you just make a couple of those jobs, as flexible as you can, or probably remote as well. I think you will attract a lot of diverse candidate around that. So that's the first piece, I do want to call out that, earlier where, people would not preferring a kind of a shift, or a timing, now suddenly opens up when you think about, a hybrid or a remote setup.
Right.
Second thing, of course, for your new parents, whether it's a mother or a father or, any other set of group, imagine for them, if it is flexible, you can come your time, you can go your time, or it's 3 day a week or a 2 day a week or a remote setup. Again, you can bring back a lot of working women or a working set of parents into the workforce. Third, because of hybrid, today a huge amount of a big community, LGBTQ community that we talk about, because, or a physically challenged, person, you had to do a lot more around the infrastructure before you could even bring them back to board. Now, if you have a remote setup, imagine, it's a lot easier to get that population back to work. That's another beautiful way to think about how can you bring, different multiple set of, diverse set of population into the workforce. But I definitely see a huge opportunities for organization to now focus on their DEI priority.
Okay, all right. That was a very comprehensive view of all the opportunities that I think the hybrid working model presents to us. And, speaking of, you did touch upon talent acquisition and how it also broadens that horizon. So how do you think this model of work may affect both talent acquisition, and I'm even interested in talent retention?
I'll answer it that way. Today organizations, are really struggling for their fundamental existence because, the pandemic has really thought about, okay, what's their sustainable way of sustaining? Cost has become such an imperative thing for every single business because they've struggled in the last few years when it comes to, really doing what the business should typically do. Now, in that scenario, if you are the HR head of the organization and say that, hey, I will come back to you with the talent acquisition, I would be able to fulfill 100% of the needs. And if I tell you that, I can reduce 30% of the cost, which was 2 years ago, what will the business leader say? He will say, oh, that's magic to my ears. So how are you going to make it happen? And I just say one thing, are you open to hire remote people? Now imagine somebody who's sitting out of Chandigarh or somebody who's sitting out of Nainital. Big MNCs typically have big office corporate structures in the big cities. Now, if you start doing that, there is a huge amount of untapped talent already sitting into multiple city geography, and you are able to attract them. B, they don't have to fundamentally shift. That means, their cost to the company is always going to be low. Now, imagine that's like a huge win for the organization that you can start thinking about your talent acquisition strategy. So don't think, oh, my selling point is flexible, hybrid, but think much beyond around how can you save organization a huge amount of cost in the times of where cost is one of the biggest factor for the organization. So I think, it's the other way around. Don't wait for the organization to come to the workplace strategy, but fueling these examples where organization can say, oh, so probably for an X skill set, that we should do completely remote because it saves 30% or 40% of our cost. Now, that's a strategy that as a talent acquisition head you define.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a strategy. I like that a lot. And, I think I want to end today's conversation, Megha, on the idea of one, do you think this is a sustainable model of work? And two, can you give us, if you were to peg 3 trends that could really help make this a sustainable model of work, what would they be?
So, when you say, is it a sustainable model? I would say last 2 years, we all have been remotely working. The whole world was. Mm-hmm. And if even after 2 years, we ask that, is work from home possible? I think we're fooling ourselves. It just shows that, in the change curve, we're still, really back towards saying, I don't want to change. I think it's just that. Can all jobs go remotely? I don't think so. There are jobs that still requires physical proximity. There are a lot of technology acceleration happening, like in the medical fields. I think the maximum technology acceleration is happening because that's the place where you need the most physical proximity. So yes, things are going to evolve a lot more. Not every job is possible, but I still feel 60 to 80% in today's world are, some jobs that you can at least do some form of hybrid, if not completely remote. The second part of your question was around the 3 best practices. Now, I think the first piece that I would say, if you're defining your workplace, strategy, listen to what your people are saying. Gone are the days where leadership used to sit together and, decide that, okay, this is what I want to do from tomorrow. This is the policy that I want to create. Yeah. I think it's the time and the era where 4 generations are working together in one organization. Mm-hmm. You need to listen to them, do a survey, do a crowdsourcing of idea. What do people want to see in their return to workplace strategy? Ask them. And I'm sure you will get extreme ends where they don't want to come, and you'll also see people who are really eager to come because, as we say, there are 4 personality types, and all those personality types we would find in the organization. To listen to people. The second piece that I do want to say is whatever decision that you take around remote, whether it's 3-day coming back or 4-day coming back or completely remote or it's flexible, whatever you choose, think about, how it's going to work. And I'm going to call it out. You need to solve for culture and technology. Do you have enough collaboration tools so that, when people are even remotely working, how are they going to connect? How are they going to solve for simple thing? My laptop is broken. How are you going to replace that? How it's going to work out? I think you need to fix the broken chain around the technology and the culture. Now, imagine a people manager that you hired. You always hired a manager or a leader in the location where teams used to sit. Now, nobody trained them to manage a virtual and a hybrid team. Set competencies. Think about how you're going to train the leaders and the manager, and talk about the mindset that tomorrow, if the team is going to sit in the Goa and just being going to there, how you're going to manage that team and still get the productivity out of that. So there is a huge piece on the culture that we need to all come together and solve for. Nobody has the answers, but you need to define that. Right. And the last piece, if you are doing some form of hybrid or return to workplace, remember you're dealing with people. People, you suddenly went into work from home and 2 years they're working from home. While things are back to normal, but not everything is back to normal still. People have lost a lot of their partners, especially when you are in India. We know that, how many deaths really happened in the COVID. So things have not really exactly the same what it was 2 years ago. Yep. So be kind, be genuinely empathetic. And I would always say, be slow and flexible. It's not about, from tomorrow, everybody is supposed to go back to XYZ model, like a 3-day working or a 2-day working. Be slow, have a flexible and a gradual approach to return to workplace. Start with tranches of phases that all people will start to come in, which means basis your survey that I said in the initial, people who are genuinely willing, super excited to come back, make them come first. Start secondly, people who are, basis the roles, who need to come. And then, slowly and gradually, you will see a lot more percentage of people will come in, and be very, very empathetic. As I said, not everybody's situation is going to be same because 2 years they were remotely working. So, be very, very flexible with people and understand what they genuinely need during this time to be able to return back to workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last point is one that we do tend to sort of slip up on. I think it always comes back down to the essence, which is if you have people who are working for your organization, with your organization, that are happy, then the organization is going to be healthy. And that is just always at the end of the story.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Megha, for joining us on this edition of Great FM. It's really been great. Some very interesting perspectives have come up today, and I'm sure our listeners will agree with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
This is Great FM.